Not everything can be positive. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Raptors. I'm your host, Satisham, my channel where you get reviews, analysis, predictions, and hot takes on all things Raptors as well as some NBA. So, the season's over, but like I promised, every week I will be doing a video on what the Raptors season was, players, everything else. And just because I love basketball, even if nobody watches, but I just want to do it because it's fun. So, today we'll be talking about the negatives of the Raptors on the floor that contributed to the A minus rating that I gave them on the overall season as a basketball team on the floor. So, without a further ado, let's talk the negatives. Now, Raptors is a young team, so you understand that they are going to make rookie ass mistakes, that they are going to do stupid plays, and they're going to make stupid mistakes at the wrong times. And like I said in my rating, A minus rating, the Raptors limited those, but there were still a lot of things that were an issue throughout the whole season. Number one was the free throw shooting. If you've been watching my videos and throughout the whole season that you watched, I always talked about that the Raptors are missing free throws, and that can come to bite them in the ass at the wrong time. And that is exactly what happened. The Raptors in game 3, Precious Achiuwa missed 2, and then OG Anunoby missed 1. And that contributed to us losing, because had Precious Achiuwa hit those 2 free throws, the Raptors would have likely won that game in regulation. But they didn't. And it was a problem for the Raptors throughout the whole season. Our best free throw shooter is Freddie VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., Pascal's up there. OG is actually pretty good. But it just seemed like we weren't taking our free throws seriously throughout the early parts of the game, which would have helped us gain, leads. For example, there were a lot of games where the Raptors were 10 of 20 or 13 of 20 and going into the in the final quarter. And then when they hit that below the 3-minute mark, they don't end up missing any free throws. But before that, the game wouldn't have been that tight had the Raptors just made sure that they made those free throws. And I feel that the Raptors just did not take the free throws seriously enough, at least in the early parts of the game. And then when you don't have the rhythm going into the fourth quarter, or when you need to hit the important free throws, it just seems like when you're not going to be hitting them earlier in the game, you end up not getting that rhythm to be able to hit them when the important aspects come. Now, the Raptors were able to do that in the earlier part of the season, but it just came to haunt us in one of the most important games in the season, which was in the playoffs. Now, I understand Precious is not the greatest shooter, but it's a team thing. When everybody's hitting free throws, for some reason, everybody else that's not a good free throw shooter end up putting more weight in there, and they end up nailing their free throws. So the Raptors didn't do well in the free throw section, and that is something that they have to make a considerable effort to get to improve on the court. You know what I mean? So the Raptors need to hit the gym, hit with the coaches, whatever they need to do to fix their mechanics on some of them. Like Precious has mechanics issues. And as a coaching staff, they need to put more emphasis on the fact that we are a team that drives to the rim a lot. So if we end up getting those foul shots, we need to nail them so the refs feel like, that we deserve more of them. Because if you're not hitting those free throws, the ref is just going to be like, fuck it, let's not waste time in our, waste giving these guys free throws, because they ain't going to hit them, right? So that's number one. Number two is the Raptors' three-point shooting. So it seemed like the Raptors were a great three-point shooting team, but they were not. They were an abysmal three-point shooting team. I believe they ended the season with, I think, averaging about 30 as a team, 30% from the three-point line. And that is just something that cannot survive in this league. The Raptors have three-point shooters, whether it's Fred VanVleet, whether it is Gary Trent Jr., whether it's OG Anunoby. Pascal takes them. He's more efficient than anybody else on them because he takes less. But other than that, the Raptors don't really have any three-point shooters. But the three-point shooters we do have are good. It's just they weren't nailing the shots. There were moments in the season when they were, but the Raptors need to hit those shots consistently. Again, that's because the Raptors have a lot of guys like Pascal, OG, Scotty, Precious that get to the rim, which gives you a lot of kick-out opportunities, and the guys are open to be able to nail those three-pointers. They need to be able to nail those three-pointers. And that has to do with the personnel as well. In addition, like, for example, I'm just saying the guys we have are good enough to nail those open three-point shots, but they didn't in the season. But this also falls on the management, and I'll get to that in my next video in regards to how to improve that. But the Raptors need to go in, like I said, go into the gym, start working on nailing at least the open three-point shots, man. And I think some of the guys like Freddie and Gary, they need to learn how to be more efficient on their three-point shots, right? It seems like there's too much volume there. They need to be able to get to the bucket as well. So when they do get the three-point shot, they feel confident. When you're missing a lot of them because you're shooting too much volume, of course your confidence is going to be shaky. So if you limit the amount that you're shooting and you nail one or two, you're going to feel more confident. And then when the opportunity comes for us to be able to rely on you for that big three-point shot that we do need, you will feel like you can hit that. Now, I don't doubt Gary Trent Jr. at all. He can always hit them. He's that type of guy. He has that mentality. But the rest of the guys, yes. Same thing with OG. Sorry. OG is the same guy, man. He can nail that three-point shot at any time. But like Precious, he was a little bit shaky sometimes. Freddie, too much volume. Pascal wasn't taking enough for them at times. So, and OG wasn't available for the most of the season. So Raptors really need to concentrate on the three-point shot, especially given the fact that it cost us in the playoffs. The Philadelphia 76ers shot us out of the gym, like Danny Green and those guys. Whereas we had open opportunities, we just never nailed them. And it just turned into, a shit fest for us to be having to constantly get to the rim, especially with the rim protector like Joel Embiid and other guys. It was causing us issues. We need that three-point shot, and that's one thing that the Raptors didn't do well, and they need to improve on. Now, the third thing I have, even though the Raptors made considerable improvements on this, is understanding each other on the defensive end. Our defense was great, no doubt. That is one of the main reasons I said an A- rating. But the Raptors have a lot of way to go in regards to improving it. So it's a mixed bag. You can see a negative and a positive. It was good when it was good, but when it wasn't, it was really, really bad. So like Nick Nurse says, when, instead of just being good and really bad, you need to find that middle ground when when you're struggling. And the Raptors weren't able to find that. It seemed like the Raptors were either really good or really bad. And that showed in the playoffs because game 1, game 2, the Raptors weren't able to figure each other out, especially with OG Anunoby coming in to the lineup. And the Raptors, again, every time there was difference in lineups, there was different in communication, guys that hadn't played together. Now that has a lot to do with the chemistry as well, but the Raptors just weren't able to figure out their defensive schemes as well as they should have. That showed also in game number 6. So the Raptors need to work on, knowing each other, communicating, figuring out how each guy talks, or how you need to work with each guy in order to get better on the defensive end, because the Raptors defensively can be great. We've seen that this season, but just those lagging moments, it costs us. And that goes into the, a negative for the Raptors, because when you've been playing together, now the Raptors didn't get to play together that much, but you got to figure it out, man. And I think giving these guys that offseason, this season, having the same personnel for that amount of time will take that step forward. So it's just something that the Raptors will improve on, but I would like to see a more concentrated effort for them to be doing that, because the defensive breakdowns were really, really bad. And last but not least, something that the Raptors wasn't negative, but they can improve on, is chemistry and ball movement. The Raptors were pretty good when they were going on the offense, but it seemed like the Raptors were going too much into ISOs when it slowed down. Their half-court offense was really good in the regular season, but it seemed like there was an issue with it in the playoffs. And the Raptors need to start moving the ball around. They need to trust each other. Yeah, I get that has to do with not people being in and out of the lineup and people missing open shots. but there was a lot more ISO shit going on in the playoffs. I get it, it's half court offense, but you can still move the ball. Look at Phoenix Sun, how they play. Look at Golden State Warriors, how they play. And I get it, that is mainly because the Raptors haven't played too much games together, so there might be that little bit of hesitancy from each other. But when they do, and we've seen flashes of it in the season, they are a damn good team. And all of this put together tells you that the Raptors are on the right path, and a lot of things that they need to improve on are minor that costed us. And it's always the minor things that cost you primarily in the playoffs. And if the Raptors can get that fixed, especially this is the second year, which means that the Raptors will take a step forward. They're not a team that usually regresses. You know they're going to improve on these things and they're going to become a better team. So the negatives are there, but without having negatives, you're never going to learn. And I think the Raptors will take that forward. And let's see what happens. So that's all I have for you guys for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed that analysis of the things that the Raptors can improve on. Now, in the next video, I will be going into each and what the Raptors need to do overall in order to take the next step as a team off the court, in a sense. So that's all I have for you guys for this video. Please hit that like and subscribe button, help the channel out, and I will see you guys in my next weekly video.